Hello, it's Jimmy O'Reilly's. We have here a Toyota Avensis. Okay, we are inside the vehicle. We have a DPF full engine service required message. Let's press back on that, see if it comes anything else. No, that's it. There's no engine management light on, but we have a little exclamation mark, is that what you call it, just over there. So this car, I believe, is fitted with a BMW engine, and I'm going to use my Launch X431 Euro scan tool here. This is a new model scan tool that's just come out. We're going to do intelligent diagnose. Now it gives us a choice to choose what model, Lexus or Toyota. This is the European one, so we're going to pick the 16 pin. Doesn't have a smart key. 2016. Okay, then we'll run a smart detection. Almost done. 4 fault codes: P1443 particle filter lamp overload, Inhibit regeneration, particle filter overloaded, particle filter overloaded. Okay, so we've only got particle filter overloaded, and we've got an Inhibit regeneration, which means that the car will not regenerate on its own. Now the reason for that DPF Inhibit can be many reasons, like you've got a fault with your EGR valve, you've got a fault with your turbo, you've got a fault with glow plugs, you've got a fault with almost any sensor on the engine. Basically, you'll get an inhibited regeneration happen on the ECU. So the vehicle won't regenerate the DPF because it knows there's a fault somewhere in the system, and it either does it because it knows it won't be successful, or it doesn't want to harm other parts of the engine while you've got a fault there. The engine works harder when it's doing a regen, so it's like a safety cutoff. Now, what is the reason for the Inhibit on this one? There is no reason listed here. Normally you'd have another fault listed here, like one of those reasons I've just mentioned, but there isn't any. And when I speak to the customer, what he's saying is it has had many different faults, but he's just had a lot of work done. It's had a new intake manifold and 6 or 7 different sensors fitted to it. But he's now left with the DPF fault that he's got here, and he wants me to clean it out and just get everything reset. So that's what we're going to do. We'll go back in here. We can see we haven't got anything here that's inhibiting the DPF from regenerating. So if we clean it and reset all of the parameters, we should now have a car that will work. Let's have a look at the numbers that we're looking at. Soot, differential pressure, and regeneration. Since the last succeeded regeneration, let's pick those. 45.33 grams of soot. I think that is the maximum, so it doesn't go above that. Idling pressure is 35 of the DPF. If we change that over to kilometers, it's 25 kilometers since the last regen. So it doesn't make sense how he's driven here to me and it's got an inhibited regeneration fault, but it says it has regen 25 kilometers ago. I don't understand that really, but the diagnostic tools can't always be believed, I suppose, but there could be many reasons for that. I'm not sure. I think this customer has his own scan tool, so I'm not sure if he's been resetting faults or whatever. But we're going to clean the DPF and reset everything and see what we can get the pressure down to. That 35 pressure, we want to see that around sort of 5 if we can, and the grams of soot below 6. Okay, so if we look at this engine, you can see it's had a new intake manifold. Has had various other bits and pieces as well put on. So what we're going to do is we're going to clean the DPF on this. Okay, so I've just made up a mixture of the DPF cleaning fluid and a little bit of mix of water into our gun here. Okay, so I've got an inverter in the van. Obviously it's just on a switch on the dash here. Now I've changed the setup of my van. I've got this compressor here that is on a reel that goes out to where the car is, and obviously we've got our gun here set up. Okay, so just over here we have the DPF pressure sensor. This is the hose that goes after the DPF, and this is the one that goes before on this side. So connected the gun up to that. If you're not sure which one of these pipes is before or after the DPF, I do use a manometer if you look in some of my other videos, and you can verify which one is before or after by looking at the pressure. So the one after the DPF would normally have sort of half a millibar to 1 or 2 millibars of pressure, and the one before the DPF could have 5 millibars or 200 millibars depending on how blocked the DPF is. So now we'll just squeeze the trigger. We're going to do this one with the engine running because the DPF sits high. Just do this with the engine running. If the DPF sits high like that, if you fill it up, it will backflow through the turbo into the cylinders. So that's why you should do it with the engine running, unless the DPF is fitted way down, back at the middle of the car. If you've got a DPF fitted close to the engine, always do it with the engine running. So we'll just hold that trigger until all of the fluid's gone in. Compressor is running. So now we're going to get some steam come out of the exhaust. You can now pull that off. Feel there's a lot of pressure coming out of that. We'll get it back on there. Then we'll get back inside the car. We're going to hold the revs up around about 3000 RPM for a minute or two. And you'll see the DPF pressure start to come down. See that chart there is where it starts off. Would have been a little bit higher than that, but we just got the graph up now. It's probably sitting at, I think it was over 240. Currently down around sort of 80 millibars of pressure, and 9 or 10 at engine idle. Okay, so we've got the engine off now. What we're going to do is, now the pressure is low enough, we're going to reset. We'll just try resetting the fault codes first, and we'll go back to, hang on, we'll actually check that the fault codes have cleared. Yeah, no DTCs. We'll go back to the data stream. Don't know if we're going to have to take all of these again. Yeah, we will. So again, we're looking at differential pressure and soot. Okay, so we've put the bonnet down. We are just coming down to around about 7 millibars of pressure now. We're going to take the car on maybe a mile test drive. If you keep an eye on those numbers, you should see them rapidly coming down there. The soot. Okay, so we're just holding the revs there now. You can see that the grams of soot are coming down quite fast actually. Obviously we did take it up and down, we give it a few revs so the temperature's increased a little bit on the exhaust system. It will come back down now, we're stationary. You can also see there we're down around sort of 50 millibars of pressure now at 3000 RPM. Okay, so now I'm going to go to special functions and hopefully we have, yeah, DPF history reset. That sounds like something we're looking for. So now I'm just also resetting the oil. It has been done 2 weeks ago, he said. So I'm just going to make sure that's reset, because we don't want something that's going to inhibit the DPF region in the near future. Now if we go back to the data stream, we should have the soot. You see one of the soot values came down, the non-continuous one, but we need to reset the continuous soot grams back to 0, so that's worked. Now if we hold the revs up again for a little bit longer, we should be able to get that 7 grams of soot down a little bit further. Okay, so they've leveled out at sort of around about 5 grams of soot. Obviously that's where we reset that at. It was at sort of 7, so it stays there. Now the engine lights, no, we haven't got any more lights on. Now if we come out of the data stream and go to fault code, we have no fault codes. Okay, so that's where we are after a test drive. So not much has changed, it's still around the same. Okay, so that's it, we're all finished on the Toyota Avensis, and I'll see you on the next video.